Hey guys, what it is your girl Cadillac. Yes, I'm Cadillac Dixon. I'm the Draw My Life Prison Wife. I'm the legally blind artist that is rapping and painting for justice. Hoping, girl, to see justice before all face too bleak. Yes, it's your girl Cadillac. Yes, it is raining out there, girl. Look, it is raining good and hard. And I was out here cleaning out my car, but I guess I was interrupted by the rain, but that's cool. It's been hot. It has been hot. And y'all already know when I get hot, I think about how my husband in prison is times hotter. Y'all know we did that Beat the Heat challenge where we were challenging lawmakers to do 5 minutes in a simulated Florida DOC cell for what they are unjustly sometimes sentencing our loved ones to do lifetimes in, right? It is sweltering heat, and that's what many of our calls from our loved ones are during these hot summer months. So, you know, my husband's almost 7 hours away. He just about in Alabama. They didn't put him all the way. They trying to put him out of Florida, girl. So, but I pray the rain goes his way to kind of calm, cool down the heat or whatever. Okay, so this is going to be the second time trying to cover this, review this video from CEO Hockley. Now, y'all already know I was good in my live. I was working on that Trey King video, like drawing that Project Reach the World of Trey King. I was doing good, and then I got into my Pastor Troy. And matter of fact, should I go in and work on my Pastor Troy? No. Okay, so Money's expecting some company. So I don't want to be in there banging on her little glass table, girl, and get all heated and into discussion. So I'm going to just, for this portion, I'm going to just review right here. So let's jump back into that video. Y'all know I will link in the description box. I believe it's part 1 and 2. Part 2 is from a live where I was recording and it stopped, and when it went back in there was no more sound after that, so all of that is gone. So let's get into reviewing. Then I guess we gonna get the rest of the day going. Me and the kids, I'm off today, thank God. I had the video up and ready, but of course, for some reason, it got off of the video. I already literally had it ready to push go. But, there'd be so many challenges, girl. Hand going to bed, too. So if y'all see any shaking, please forgive your girl. I literally cannot feel my hands. My hands have been so bad lately. It's almost, I honestly just feel like really let go of that hope for healing in my body like that, because I've dealt with this for a long time, and all the holdbacks and setbacks it causes by not being able to utilize your hands the way hands are supposed to be utilized. You use them for everything. I literally cannot find it. This is, please get behind me. Like, don't even get behind me, Satan. Get away from me, Satan. Please. Leave me alone. Go back to the pits of jail from where you came. And jail is hell, so I did mean that, girl. I literally already had it queued up and going. Here it is. Okay. It's not even connected now.
I got arrested at 13, but I do remember a time around 12 or 13, my mother just gave up. As a woman working 2 jobs to provide in the 80s, early 90s, she just gave up. I remember her telling me that I'm not whooping you no more. I'm done whooping you. You too grown. I'm wore out from whooping you.
Reminds me of my song. I'm sorry, girl. I got to put my plugs in there, girl. To all my single mothers out there by force, not choice. Hey, know that you can make it, but the choice is yours if you never give up. Never throw in the towel. Just keep your head up. You'll make it out somehow. Yes, it is not easy being a single mother at all.
So I'm not whooping you no more. So me having that memory, when I look back on it, that was her giving up.
Wow.
Not giving up on me, but
Yeah.
giving up on the system of putting all
Not
this.
giving up. It's just at a certain point, a parent, what more can you do? You've taught that child, you tried to lead that child, you tried to guide that child, you tried to give that child that wisdom, that knowledge, everything you acquired in life to try to put that child past all your downfalls so they could detour that. And it feels like that child literally wants to hit every single roadblock, road bump, pothole that you, and pitfall that you hit. And at some point, you got to realize there's literally nothing more that I can do. I have got to let go. And I think that's what he's talking about. It's not really, the parent can't give up on their child. Most parents can't. But it's just you get to that point where you realize it's going to be on that child now. I raised that child, and hopefully that child comes back to know everything, or it comes back across their recollection of everything that I tried to teach them. My mama is dead and gone, been gone for 7 years, and baby, she's still teaching me from the grave. There are still things that I literally will not do because I remember my mama warning me about doing it. Just like the door. This is small, but this is something I always do because my mother, I promise you I hear her voice. There's 2 locks on the door. I'll just be running out, lock the regular door. It locks with the door closing. And I hear my mama, Keita, lock that second lock. I get out my car, go all the way back, lock that second lock. Because my mama told me to, girl.
Energy into correcting me. She did what every other mother would do. She gave me to the Lord. She just said a prayer.
That part.
And prayed over me.
And my God, I remember when I had to do that with money, give money to God. And that really, it was difficult, but I had to. And I promise you, the moment I gave her to God, that's the moment God gave her back to me.
And that's what normally happens in the, in the ghetto or in poverty like that. So 12 or 13.
And I've always said in a lot of my, commentaries, at least on other channels, that a lot of times I cringe when I see boys being raised in single mothers.
And now they're going to talk a lot about, this is the backstory. This is that perfect storm that I refer to, the setting being correct to head you to prison. Like most times, good homes, both parents in the homes, resources, their kid is eating well, lights are paid, they ain't struggling like that. They getting education. They going to after school programs and stuff like that. Most times, I'm not saying all the time, most times that's going to prevent a lot of criminal activity.
Just because of what you just said. When you get to about that 12, 13, 14, they can't do nothing with them no more. That's why it's very important that dads be there. If you're not the mom,
That part.
at least have a great relationship with the mom. Could say, hey,
That's exactly why my daughter needed her husband, not her husband, I'm sorry. My daughter needed her father that they stole from our household. We needed him. We needed that man. More than they needed that man to fill that bed for them. We needed that man.
wild out, or matter of fact, be like boys in the hood. Take him and live with you, and you need to raise him. Because I firmly believe that men need to take their sons at certain ages if they're not with the mom and say, "Hey,
man,
go
I
live with your daddy,
love
'cause he can
Lawrence
teach
Fishburne's his role in that movie, girl. That
you how to be a man and keep you behind out of trouble."
You have to. Boys in the Hood is a great documentation and a great story about our life here in the diaspora of America. You know, being stuck here. That's a great documentation, a great view that we went through in the 90s. And you're exactly right. my mother couldn't do anything with me, man. Not to saying she wasn't a smart woman, not to say she wasn't a hardworking woman. The system was.
But it's hard. It's honestly hard. Also, being in this capitalistic society where we literally, girl, have to work to live, and I live to work. I hustle hard until it hurts. I work my fingers down to the bone, and once I pay my bills, it ain't nothing to come home with. Once I pay my bills, it ain't nothing to come home with. Once I pay my bills, it ain't nothing to come home with. Anyways. Just like, oh, what's that? Oh, I had one. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know I'm working, but how I'm gonna... Wait, hold on. Oh, it was something about ends ain't even close to meeting. Your ends ain't close to me. How the heck am I gonna survive? Anyways, I can't remember the part before that. I was trying to come right into it. But ends ain't even close to meeting. How the heck am I going to survive? That puts that mother, that single mother, into survival mode, where her one major priority is feeding you, clothing you, keeping a roof over your head. And we're not able to too much think about anything else. I know we have to be there to just like, oh my gosh, it was hard getting money through school. But I knew that if money had any opportunity for the future, she was going to have to get some type of education. It don't have to be college. It could be entrepreneurship. It could be trade school. It could be, but you're going to have to get some type of education. No matter what it is you want to do, be fully educated in that whole field. And I knew that was going to be her only opportunity of not repeating this broken cycle, you know. But it was hard. And then, like, even with back then, we had this thing called FCAT in Florida. Oh, my goodness. Now I find out FCAT was basically there because those that were failing FCAT, they would say, oh, we need to ready these many beds for the next prison generation, which are probably the ones incarcerated now. Whoa, that's sad. That means half of the playmates and the classmates that my daughter went to school with, that's what they was doing that to ready them for that next generation of prison beds, to continue the broken, that broken system. Or well-oiled machine. Depends on how you're looking at it. Is it broken? It's broken to us, but it's well oiled to those that are making it off of that system, basically. And I remember they didn't care. They didn't care if that child was doing good, decent, or anything else. If they didn't pass that test, we're failing your child. Pretty much, ma'am, we're failing your child. And I would sit in those meetings every year of why they should not fail my child. My child was going through so much. She was going through a lot of mental stuff. My child, I sent her to school. She busts out crying. She in the guidance counselor's office, and they're like, we can't stop her from crying. She's like uncontrollably crying. I just want my daddy. Why can't I have my daddy? Like, she went through a lot. Thank God she got it together later. But a lack of education. And then I was that single mother. Like, back then they was sending pounds and pounds and pounds of freaking homework home. And she would be in school all day long. Now, it was significantly different from when I was in school. We didn't have all that darn homework like that. Which homework can be good. Just like that guy that I cannot remember his name now, but I had interviewed him where he was saying that the right amount of time can change your life. Too much time can break you altogether. Having the right amount of homework once you come home from school, yes, that's good. But having too much is going to actually be more detrimental to you, because you're relying so much on the parent has to be there, helping with the homework, helping with this, helping with that. But guess what? We're not present because we have to work. Remember, forgot that part, right? We got to work to live and live to work. So because I'm working to live and living and work, I'm working 2 jobs. I'm going to class. I'm taking care of you. I'm doing all of that because I'm just trying to uphold our household. I'm not able to sit down all the time with you with all this mountain of homework, and then when you don't turn it in, then your grades are plummeting. A lot of the education, they started putting it on the parent, which I didn't understand it back then, but now looking at it, honestly, the parent is the one that should be teaching the child any darn way, to be honest with you. Teach that child. The further that child go, most likely is going to be due to that parent, because the education system, they're not sitting there trying to make sure your child is educated. Your child is going to get educated when you participate in it. And I made sure, tooth and nail, no matter what, my child was going to college. If she wanted college, she was doing something further. It wasn't going to be, hey, you're 18 now, I've done what I can do. Now you can depart from me. Like, my work here is done. No, baby, my work wasn't done. I knew that I was going to help my child get on her feet before letting her go out there in that world. Because I would have wished somebody had got me up on my feet. But my parents did as much as they could. My father from Mississippi, with just like I believe he probably did leave school in like 8th grade, like Hockley is saying he had an 8th grade, he's an 8th grade graduate. My father, he dropped out of school and they had to work. He was the school bus driver. Like, so, I mean, and what he did, and my mother from West Side Chicago, my father from Mississippi, deep South. My mother from West Side Chicago, what they did and how far they brought us. But from that point, I was supposed to bring my child up. Like, I literally was not supposed to start lower than my parents. But I did. I started way lower. I had significantly less than my parents had. But I was supposed to start a parent's ceiling is supposed to be the child's floor. And then that child starts on that floor, and then that's their ceiling. And then my grandchild starts on the ceiling of the ceiling that I put in action. And she don't start over from the bottom from us, generations down. Wealth is built over generations. Why are we starting ground level? That's like if we were building this huge, massive structure that just goes up and up and up. Each generation, we build another level. We build another level. We build another level. Conveniently, others, their levels are being laid. You got the 2nd story, 3rd story, 4th story, 5th story. Every generation, we've laid the 1st story, took a whole life laying that 1st story, and then is demolished. And then the 2nd generation comes down and lay the 1st story, and then it's demolished. And then the 3rd generation comes around and lays the 3rd story. But guess what? They started from ground level. So rather than having that 3rd story building and over generations having a skyscraper, we still have that 1st level. So it's I don't know.
Engineered to remove my daddy and press her to push me to prison. How else do you get 1 million people into a prison system? 110 plus prisons, right? Where does the inventory come from? It has to come.
Oh, I love the word he said. He said inventory. Business. That's what it is. And also, like I say, the target market. Black men are the prison's target market. That's who they're targeting. I have a background, graphic design. You got to learn a lot about business and marketing. You got to know who you're marketing to. You got to know who you're trying to reach, or you reach nobody, right? Who do you want? Like, this is what we start. Who's going to patronize your business? We flesh them out. We call it a persona. What's your persona? Before I can even design anything for you, I need to know your persona. Your persona's the black male. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so black male, that's who we want. That's majority of who we want here in our prisons. Okay, now, Mr. Sir, so how are we going to get those black men through your doors? How are we going to promote our business? Because y'all seen my little other video. Oh, through music? Through the most influential music, hip hop? Okay, that's like a commercial, girl. Okay. Yeah. So already, father gone, mother out there struggling, working. She may be in the streets herself. Kids are just left up to their own devices. Let's put this music out here. Make this all cool. Cool to tear down your own communities. Cool to tear down your own brother, your own sister. And let's put it all together. And just sit back. Just sit back. Because the business is gonna start working for itself.
Households that are broken today.
Mm-hmm.
It's a child today that they need to fill this prison up with in 10 years. It's a child that's 13. In 4 more years, he's going to be eligible to have one of those bunks in 4 years.
And they are already deciding about 3rd grade whether they need a scholarship or a prison bed for this child. That should alarm you. It should alarm you. But I know most likely that's not any thought that even crosses your mind.
In Texas, you could be sentenced to prison and go to adult prison at 17. That's the legal age. But they sentence you here in Texas as early as 14. At 14 years old, they will sentence you to prison. That's how desperate these people are to filling that system or filling that bunk.
And I can't remember what YouTuber that was I was watching, but it was so brilliant. He said something like, the more heads they lay in the bed, the more bread.
Those 110
Wish I could
units.
give him his credit.
Now the Texas prisons, are they private, state? Like, are they mostly private? Like,
when they started out, they was privately owned by the state. Of course, as business started booming and every town wanted a prison.
But let me tell you now, there's the thing that people think is that the only money being made off the prison system is through the privatized prisons, which a lot of times I hear actually treats the incarcerated citizens better than state-run prisons, right? I've heard a lot about that. They're the ones that got the programs, they got this, they got that. A lot of people would rather be in a private prison than a state-run prison. But guess what? The state getting money too. The state is getting money for each person incarcerated. Florida DOC is to critical capacity. That means that the new generation of people that are committing crimes, there's literally hardly anywhere to place them. Y'all know that video I had likening Florida DOC to a hoarder's house. You can't obtain anything new because you have too much and you don't even know what you have. Let's sort through your stuff. You have all the wrongful convictions. You have, remember you took parole away? Parole was to alleviate your hoard. You took parole away back in the early 80s and 90s, right? So now there's no way to get out of your system. You're signing up to hold people for life. In Florida, life means life. 10, 20 life. I'm in love with someone, I can't be with it, so hard for me to let go. So I sit and I wait so patiently with the hopes that he will come home. Before I lay down at night, I close my eyes, I pray the Lord sends him home. But when I open my eyes, the fact remains that I'm still all alone. It happened a few years ago. I looked for him, but he was gone now. Please tell me, where did he go? 10-20 life, that's all I know. See, the Lord on my side is who keeps me strong. I dread the fact I must move on, but I got my life to lead, and I'm the one that takes care of me. Now the messed up party was snatched from his seat. Now a father and a mother I gotta be now, but when it's cold, who gon' hold me now? And who do I talk to when I'm lonely now? See, I'm in love with someone, I can't be with it, so hard for me to let go. So I sit and I wait so patiently with the hopes that he will come home. Before I lay down at night, I close my eyes, I pray the Lord sends him home. But when I open my eyes, the fact remains, I'm still all alone. These long sentencing statutes, that came about in the late 90s. Now we got people, instead of the regular 5 years, 10 years for these crimes, we can sit people down for lifetimes. And they became overzealous behind that. This is where your mass incarceration is formulating. That's where the bubbles are rising. That's where it happened. That's where it happened. It went from only so many people in prison, to booming populations of prisoners. That's why it shouldn't be so weird that I'm a prison wife. Like, girl, there are so many prison wives, like so many kids affected by this. And I had a conversation you literally don't even know, because the shame it brings about. They put shame on you because you have a loved one incarcerated and because you are standing by their side. You're shameful. You're just as much criminalized as they are, as though we doing this Bonnie and Clyde type thing. No, baby, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I have no records. And I remember that was so mind-blowing when the police pulled me over and asked me when the last time I've been to jail. And I'm like, do I look like I frequent flyer jail? Like, I literally have no record at all. You mean the last time I visited? No, he assumed that I frequent flyer jail. Like, I need to get my little thing stamped. How many times you been in jail, girl? Like, for real. But I don't know. I'm just one woman that don't nobody want to hear from. That got some little raps that don't nobody want to hear, and some little artwork that don't nobody want to see, girl. So I don't know.
Listen, you gotta understand, when you look up Texas prison, they in towns we never heard of. Have you ever heard of Paris, Texas?
I got one time.
You ever heard of Sneads, Florida? You ever heard of Mayo, Florida? Hamilton County? No, I never heard of those. Chattahoochee. Have you heard about that? Where they say where the hoochies chat. Chattahoochee, Florida. Have you heard of that? Girl, be all these backwoods places that you ain't never heard of, and you don't hardly see. When we go into these places, automatically coming in black, they know that we're visiting our loved one in prison, which is like you hold around a sign, hey, I'm headed to the prison for visitation. Like, literally, we're the only ones in that town with our hue. And sometimes it gets scary. It's like, sometimes you like, do I even want to stop for gas here? Like, girl, I don't know what type of neighborhood this is. Like, for real. Especially when you start seeing those support for DeSantis signs and stuff like that. You be like, do we really need gas now? Like, for real. But, yeah, it's crazy.
Have you ever heard of Tennessee Colony?
No.
Okay, have you ever heard of Love Lady, Texas?
Nope.
Exactly. They are in these country incorporated towns where the biggest structures
Be a bunch of country pumpkins that you think you literally do think you done walk back into time somewhere. You don't know that this is literally how people are really living, like right now in time.
are the prisons. The biggest structure in town is the prison.
Yep. And they build the hotel system around that. It's usually a few hotels for the visitors or whatever. They build everything around that prison. And then you also have where families, different, like it could be father, son, uncle, brothers, they're all correction officers. They're all up in ranks in these prisons. So you got basically families running the prisons that live in the town. Like it's crazy. And that's why you also cannot give justice for your loved one within the walls when they do whatever they do, because they're going to side and back each other tooth and nail.
So once it became a business and they realized that they could monetize this and they could also bring economies to desolate places,
Yeah.
right? They started privatizing it, and it's on the stock market.
Oh yes.
Yes,
Yes,
it's on
it
the
is.
stock market. We are like during the Atlantic slave trade. We are.
And now that he said that, oh my God, that sounds so symbolic. So that means it never changed. I tell y'all every day that slavery, like some girl she got mad because I said that, literally I was just vlogging. And then I walked past one of these signs where it said, vote for this person. And I said, oh, I remember going with her to march when we were trying to get Stand Your Ground amended. Because Stand Your Ground could be used one way against me, and it could be used another way for you. That's why I always say the law is written in gray rather than black and white. That way, if it's written in gray, it could be interpreted however that judge sees fit. That's not quite equal. When it's in black and white, it's black and white. When it's gray, it's too much room left for interpretation. So we were trying to amend that. Stand Your Ground. And this person I get dumb comments all the time. You know, at first it would bother me, but I think also God, like, that's probably why he took me through being bullied as a child, took me through being shunned, took me through being outcasted, took me through all of that. That way I get it out my system. That way it does not bother me when I'm older, in my older age. But she said, oh, y'all are so stupid. And I bet you would like for them to bring slavery back too, wouldn't you? And I'm like, last time I checked, they never got rid of slavery. What you mean bring it back? It's never left. It was changed. It was made the 2.0 version. It was made into a version that is no longer overt, but now covert. Right? And it's so covert that even those being enslaved support it. When did it go? Where did it go? I'm actually married to a slave.
What they call it, chattel,
Yeah.
cattle. We are that. We are inventory.
Man.
In the state of Texas or in America, state of Texas just perfected it. Them in California have a system
Don't
that
leave
has
out
perfected it.
Florida. Don't leave us out. Don't leave us out. They show it used to be oranges, girl. Well, they say orange is the new black. Orange is the new green, I guess.
This and keeps this thriving.
Okay, so we're gonna definitely get to the prison part. We
Right.
want to lead up to that.
Lead up to that.
So you're out there in the streets, getting in trouble, wilding out. why you felt that the need to go to the streets to do that, to make money? Or are you looking for maybe some other male, people to be with, role
Right.
models? Like what were you looking for in the street?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, when you have no guidance as a kid, right? Like I had a mother, she was a provider, right? She did what she can to guide me, but I'm being influenced like any and every other kid, like social media does us today. I was influenced because I was living with us. I was living in the
And that's the part, we don't think that we are being influenced to do the things we do. We think we're fully conscious minded and we are making our own decisions, not really knowing that a lot of the decisions that we think we're making are actually being made for us and said, hey, you should feel that way. You're supposed to do this. And we think that we're acting on it, but it's not really us acting. It's something that's already been instilled in us a long time ago. Or it could have been instilled in us through our entertainment, through our music, through our... Girl, let me let it go. I ain't got nothing to say. Y'all don't want to hear nothing from me because, girl, we don't want to hear your raps. We don't want to see your little artworks. We don't want to watch your little videos. We don't. Yeah, girl, you don't know nothing. Go sit down, take several seats. And I cannot wait for the day that they let my husband up out them gates and I will have several seats. And I'll keep my little knowledge to myself. But guess what? The great thing about YouTube is that it still will be here for the next generation. So whenever y'all really do want to hear the truth will be right here to set you free, girl. You ain't going nowhere.
projects or in this environment where other kids are going through the same thing that I am going through. And it was fine up until probably the age of 10 or 9 when crack cocaine hit our communities.
Wow.
Now,
So I'm thinking they gotta
remember
be a little bit older than me because I don't remember that. I was born in 81, girl. Born in 81 and did a whole lot of living. I did some things I think life ain't forgiving. I've been through many trials. I learned a whole lot of lessons, but the Lord is still waking me up. Guess that's a blessing. Chi-town born, I'm Florida raised. If life is a beach, I'm soaking in all the rays. I'm just a sinner that's saved by grace, so I must have purpose, so I'll search for it daily.
time like me, I can remember a time when it wasn't crack.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And then next thing you know is, oh, he on that crack. Or
Yeah.
it's crack. So, I mean, from my experience and the timeline that I was growing up to, it was all fine until crack cocaine hit the community and we was forced pretty much to fend for ourselves. You know, I mean, we go from having no money to you can have all
So not just the father missing, now you got the father and the mother not present sometimes. Lots of times.
this money. And you got all these Caucasians.
You got the lack of
Mexican-
resources. You got the lack of, so it's compounding. Don't think of these as separate situations. They're not separate. Connect these together. These are puzzle pieces. So he gave you one puzzle piece, another puzzle piece. Put them pieces together. That's the whole purpose in a puzzle. Don't separate them. As long as you keep the pieces separate, you can't see the picture.
And black people running up to you asking you, do you have crack? Willing to exchange the one thing you haven't had. They willing to exchange for you this money, right? For drugs. So it's gonna be very hard for me to say no.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now I could have money. All I have to do is get this drug. And then you gotta think the drugs are given to people that's 17. I'm thinking I'm about
And then we glorify it in the music. And then we never had money. You ever heard that saying about giving somebody money that never had money before? Like, we shouldn't have been so deprived of money. We wouldn't be so starving for money if we weren't so deprived, money deprived, resource deprived. We wouldn't be so desperate, girl.
drugs or dealing with somebody that's adult. He 21. He a kid.
Yeah.
Selling to another kid. And that just led to a snowball effect of violence, ignorance, murders, and things that just led us to prison.
Yeah.
Man, one thing about the crack, era that I remember, you could see people that one day they just regularly like, oh, you got on that crack?
You didn't got on
and
that crack.
And then it just took them all the way down. Look, when somebody's stealing from their mama, you know they cracked out, man.
Listen.
Because nobody would steal from their mama, their grandmama.
We didn't even know what a crackhead was. This word comes about because we just saw people turn into crackheads.
Yeah.
And the term comes from someone that's all they want to do all day. And we saw people, I'm talking about good people. It was very devastating. So once you added crack to an already impoverished situation, it just inflated the ignorance.
And then now we know today that was done by design to put that drug in our community.
Social engineering. I mean, now, before crack hit, you got 15 prisons in the state of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Before crack hit, it's 15 prisons in the state of Texas. After crack, it's 110.
I want to learn the math on Florida. I know they in every backwood, girl, but I want to know what it was before. Like, once they give you that DC number, baby, you pretty much part of the underworld. Like, honestly, people don't care what happened to you after that. They gonna tell you what, he shouldn't have did what he did, girl. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. That same old irritating cliche that basically dismisses anything else that you have to say. Anything else is out the window. He's wrongfully convicted. Oh, well, he shouldn't have did the crime if he couldn't do the time. Well, girl, he didn't do the crime. So now what? Does the conversation continue past that? No, it doesn't.
You fast forward to during the crack era, that 1994 crime bill that Joe Biden authored and Bill Clinton, y'all first black president.
Right.
Black people, I'm going to say this much. Black people were so asinine to say, he's a black president. He plays a saxophone. He smokes weed. And that's the dude that mass incarcerated you, too.
Definitely, because we are so desperate for approval and so desperate for acceptance. We just want somebody that can make us feel good. Yeah, we don't want nobody to be hard on us. We want somebody that play the saxophone and, sing Whitney Houston songs and things like that. And he locked us all up, labeled us super predators. And he also did even worse on the federal level. On the federal level, they implemented that federal
Do you
crime
know,
bill
to post bond, he just said labeled black men as super predators. The post bond for a black male is 3 to 4 times higher. That's why a lot of times black men once in the line of a case, they don't get out. Marcello was fortunate, but let me tell you, it was hard as jail to get Marcello a bond. Honestly, they set his bond super high. This is the year 2001. Marcello's bond was set at $10,000. This is when we made $5.15 an hour. That's what I made. That was minimum wage. How was I to afford $10,000 for a bond for my husband who never should have been taken away? I have a 2-month-old. I literally get my butt off of bed rest, and now I'm fighting for my husband's life. I'm fighting to keep our family together. Never got a chance to get our family's leg up before our family's being destroyed. $10,000. You got to pay 10%. So already $1,000, that's a lot of money for someone at that time. That was a lot of money. I couldn't even imagine or figure out how could I ever amount that much, money to get the bond, right? And then to secure the rest of the bond, you needed to put your house note. You attach your house. You need collateral. You need some cars, some expensive cars. You need a house. Who finna put up their house? Who finna put up their house? Who got houses to put up in the first beginning? So for Marcello to even get out on a bond for that first year of his life, where he did, help with Demonia, our daughter, he was feeding her. I'd come home, he done combed her hair, put her hair in little ponytails. That was from an angel. But they don't afford us that. We can't afford freedom. It's times more, because labeled a super predator, they up that. That increases the amount. So if they don't carry that same label we carry, see, they get less, 3 times less amount to be bonded out. So their family can easily come pick them up. They done did something wrong. And if they're even convicted, because many times they want to give them programs. Marcello was wrongfully arrested at age 19. They suggested Marcello should just get 9 months boot camp. Judge said, heck with that. Or like I say, jail. I mean, hell. Like I said, hell. He said, jail with that. I want to give him life. But just so he has a second chance at life, I'll only give him 40 years. Nobody hurt, shot, illed, nothing. Nothing lost but Marcello Jackson's life out of this whole situation. You don't have fingerprints, you don't have DNA, you don't have evidence, you don't have nothing. 40 years is sufficient. And every time I tell this story, people tell me how I'm lying. How, all right, well, just let him go. Like, are you kidding me? Do you hear anything else but black man in prison and he should be there because he's criminalized? That's exactly, when I talk, that's all you're hearing. Black man, he's a black man, okay, he probably did it, okay. Those are the words that you're actually hearing, but those are not the words that I'm saying. I'm telling you how he should not be in prison. When I tell you about the corruption of the officers, all you're hearing is, oh no, black man in prison, he's criminalized, he should be there. That's all you hear. But you're not even listening to the story of the corruption that put him there. We dismiss that. We dismiss it. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Oh my God. And I'm to the point where I'm just over. If I ain't won this fight in 21 years, my husband ain't came home. At this point, let's just sit down with his game time. Well, I guess he'd probably get out about 2039. Today, it is 2023. So we got 33 is 10 years from now. So he got about 15 to 16 more years. I know I can't fight like this for 15 or 16 more years. So it's really at the point where Keita just sat down. This a whole system. You ain't finna fight a system? A system that existed before you were born? Before Marcello even was born and placed in that system existed? And I'm finna fight it? Fight it with who? Who? I need an army. I don't see nobody but me out there on that battlefield. So how I'm gonna fight a system? So, like, I need to just sit on down. I really just wasted 21 years fighting thus far. I would have did much better with just sitting down. He could be wrongfully convicted and incarcerated all day long. But, all right, I'm going to have to let it go right there because that's him calling. But we got a little further in this video. I'm going to talk to you guys later. It's your girl Cadillac. And this how they making money too. These phone calls. I'm about to accept this phone call. That's a transaction. That is a transaction. That's somebody's account going up off of, me just trying to keep communication with my husband. They monetize that.